Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
I also
so
I'm just asking because this is the cover page and it is uh, already wide, so
yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
you can be. I mean,
Right.
you should not be strict with that percentage. That's
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. We'll definitely not zoom into 100%, but thank you very much, Adarsh, and everyone else for joining. I hope you guys are doing well. And the heat wave is pretty brutal. And I hope you guys are hydrated. In the eastern part of the country, we had a very cool, chill shower this evening, this twilight. So I hope that sort of instilled some sort of a comfort in your region. And the new book. Well, we have been reading Salem's Lot for quite some time now. And once we were done with the book, we started with a short story titled One for the Road, which was a sequel to Salem's Lot. And now that we are done with that, we are going to start with this brutally beautiful 1989 published graphic novel written by Grant Morrison. If you guys are into graphic novels and comic books, you would know who Grant Morrison is. And yeah, this is a magnum opus. This is his magnum opus. And I hope you will enjoy the story and the way I'll try to weave some facts around it. Okay. Having said that, Batman, right? You can see the title, Arkham Asylum, and we all know who Batman is, right? I think if all of us were asked to make a list of, your top seven superheroes and vigilantes, I'm pretty sure 90% of us would have Batman up there in the list, right? Some might not. That there's no argument about that, but still, because the character itself is very different from your regular heroes and vigilantes as well. And Shrikar, don't do that. And the thing is that the character itself is not just a fictional character anymore. It has become a myth, right? It has indeed become a myth. So many pop cultures, so many reels, so many videos, so many movies, so many literature are based on this one particular character, right? And then this story takes place. So Gotham is not a city, it is a sickness, a fever dream of steel and shadow stitched together from secret sins and whispered fears. Its skyline looms like the jagged teeth of some slumbering beast, while below the streets coil like veins through a corpse, pulsing with the lifeblood of the damned. It is a city of ghosts, haunted not by the dead but by the living. Men and women who wear their nightmares like second skins, who carve their madness into the bones of the city itself. And at its heart, where the rot runs deepest, stands Arkham Asylum. This building is more than brick and mortar, more than walls and bars. Because Arkham is a place where reality frays at the edges, where the thin veil between order and chaos dissolves. At Arkham, madness does not lurk, it does not creep, it rules. It walks the halls in bare feet, it whispers through the pipes, it scratches at the locked doors. The ones who live inside, who dwell within, pretty famous, infamous names actually. Be it Two Face or Scarecrow, or that one clown prince of crime who dons a purple suit. with war paint on his face and a perpetual smile which can give the devil the coldest chill down their spine. Such people, who have long since drowned in the abyss, they are not prisoners, they are disciples. They are the asylum's children. And now the bat, big bad bat, returns to them. Batman is the city's dark confession, its reckoning, its broken mirror. A man who forged himself into a myth, who speaks the language of fear as fluently as the lunatics he hunts. Because a man who dresses up like a bat and beats up criminals to a pulp has to be a lunatic. He claims to be a hunter, but tonight the hunt is over. Tonight the walls of Arkham close around him, the air thick with that scent of something ancient, something eldritch, something waiting. Perhaps it has waited, always waited, ever since the first brick was lain down, ever since a man called Amadeus Arkham heard the whispers in his own mind. Tonight, the asylum does not want the Batman to leave, and perhaps he never will. Welcome to the first session of Arkham Asylum, a serious house on a serious earth. You can see the book is, it has some leather texture and some nails like old books, old scriptures, right? Some really nice iconography. And it actually starts with this really crazy part from Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. But I don't want to go among mad people, Alice remarked. Oh, you can't help that, said the cat. If you guys have read Alice in a Wonderland or Alice's Adventure in Wonderland, you might know who the cat is, the Cheshire cat. And when Alice says that she doesn't want to go among mad people, the cat chimes back and says, oh, you can't help that. We are all mad here. I'm mad. You are mad. Then Alice says, how do you know I'm mad? And the cat smirks. You must be. Or you wouldn't have been here. And this part was written by Lewis Carroll, of course. And the story begins with a journal. Just like, unlike Hellstar Remina, which concentrated on the present situation, this tale of horror, starts with a journal of a man, of a boy, not a man, not yet. And the boy's name is Amadeus Arkham. And he's climbing up a stair. And you can see that this looks like a really old house, with the sun barely making its way on the floor. And this little boy is carrying a tray with something in it, probably a hot beverage. And he says that in the years following my father's death, I think it's true to say that the house became my whole world. And it looks so. He's a little boy, you can see, and the house looks really big. At least the staircase looks really big. And the whole house after his father's death. became his whole world. And then he continues. During a long period of mother's illness, the house often seemed so vast, so confidently real that, by comparison, I felt little more than a ghost haunting its corridors. And that is really true. If you are fortunate enough, and I'm talking to you guys, if you guys are fortunate enough to have a huge house, and by any chance the number of members in your family are too less for that house, the hallway might seem creepy. The attic and the basement, the way to those rooms, they can seem really creepy. Because it's just two or three or four of you. But the house is probably made for 10 people. And when the house is that big, you would definitely feel like Amadeus Arkham. You will feel like a ghost haunting its corridors. And he acknowledges that because scarcely aware that anything could exist beyond those melancholy walls. As a ghost, he is aware that despite him feeling like a ghost, there are things beyond these melancholy walls, these huge walls of this huge house, which he would probably inherit after his father's death. But in 1901, things changed because he says that until the night in 1901, when I first got a glimpse of that other world, you can see that he's looking at someone, an entity with red eyes. And he saw the other world, he says. Little Amadeus Arkham had a glimpse of another world. Which world? The world on the dark side. And he made his way to his mother's room. Mother? Mother, it's me. I brought you something to eat. And he enters and he can see that his old, frail, ailing mother is sitting on this huge bed. The shadow of the little boy reaches her clenched fists. And he says, please, I think you should try to eat some of this. And then his mother says, eaten. I have eaten. I have eaten. And as she says, I have eaten, bugs, beetles crawl out of her mouth, falling like raindrops. And that was the moment when Amadeus Arkham felt that he was truly alone. He had lost his father and he had probably lost his mother because this woman on the bed, this woman was just a perverted shell of his birth giver. This bug eating creature was not his mother. And he could just see, he could just look. And it is implied that many years later, when I became aware of the significance of beetle as a symbol of rebirth, I realized that she was simply trying to protect herself from something in the only way that made sense to her. What is this something? Because Amadeus thought that he was the only ghost in the house after his father's death. But we all remember while climbing the staircase, he saw something. Something with red eyes. And then he implies that years later he understood that his mother was trying to protect herself from something. Could it be that the thing that he came across on the staircase was the very thing that his mother was trying to protect herself from? The story shall move forward like clockwork. But even then, Amadeus says, I think I understood that mother had been born again into that other world, a world of fathomless science and potence, of magic and terror. And this was the very moment when Amadeus knew that he was truly alone. His father was gone, and his mother had gone insane. And according to him, he knew that his mother was reborn in another world, the other world from where that creature with red eyes came. A world which was made of magic and horror and mysterious symbols. Things working like clockwork. And then the story moves down the line. Years later, the skyline of Gotham is outshined by a very familiar symbol on the sky, a bat. And we all know what happens when this symbol makes its way on the dark lead lined sky of Gotham City. This is not just a call, this is a warning. And then we can see that it is raining in Gotham. And the big bad bat, the Caped Crusader, Batman, has come to James Gordon. I believe most of you are aware of who James Gordon is, right? He is one of the most trusted allies of Batman, at least in Gotham City. And he apologizes. Sorry, I'm late, Commissioner. Problems out of town. What's up? And that is the relation between Batman and Gordon. Gordon doesn't care about his secret identity, and Batman knows that he can trust Commissioner James Gordon with his life. And Gordon tells him that there has been a riot at Arkham Asylum. That is what up. The inmates seized control of the building early this morning. We don't know how it happened. They are holding the asylum staff hostage, making all kind of crazy demands. We have had to send in furniture, store dummies, food, clothing, and they say there's only one final demand. Thank God. They have been waiting to talk to you personally. I see. It's the Joker. So that is the situation right now. That is why the bat signal has made its way to the sky. So for those who don't know yet, Arkham Asylum is a mental asylum at the outskirts of Gotham City. All the criminally lunatic patients are sent to that very place. Characters like Joker, Two-Face, Scarecrow, and all the rogues of Batman. They're sent there because if you read enough Batman stories, if you explore the mythos of Gotham, you would see that all the characters in these stories represent one mental health problem. Batman has his own mental health issues, and if you dive down deep enough, you would find that Batman as a character is mentally unstable, and so are his enemies. Joker, absolutely. Well, in some places it is said that Joker is actually not insane. He is said to be super sane. He is so sane that he is beyond emotions, and he totally works on logic and exploits the feelings of other characters. That is what is being theorized in the community. But as I mentioned, all the characters in Batman's rogues represent one mental health illness. And Arkham Asylum is a place to hold them. But apparently, the inmates, the patients of Arkham, have somehow overpowered the guards and have taken control of the building early that morning. And they want different kind of crazy things. They're asking for furnitures, they're asking for food and clothing, and they're waiting for him. They are waiting for the Batman to arrive because this coup is being conducted by none other than Batman's arch nemesis. And we all know who is. Well, just a hint, he looks like a clown. And then in the next panel, you can see that the date on the calendar is 1st April. And Batman calls inside the asylum. Joker, are you there? What do you want? Well, hello, Batman. How's it hanging? Don't waste my time, Joker. Just tell me, what is it you want? Oh, I think you can guess. We want you in here with us, in the madhouse, where you belong. And and what if I say no? Well, we have so many friends here, sweetheart. Say hello to Pearl. And then a lady cries. Such a crybaby, isn't she? And then the phone makes some weird sound. And Commissioner Gordon asks, "What's that noise? Can you hear it scratching? What is he doing?" Then Joker says, "Pearl is 19 years old." And then again, some scratching sounds come. She just started work in the kitchen here to earn some extra money. Pearl wants to be an artist. Don't you, Pearl, darling? And we can hear that Pearl is crying. She's probably getting hurt. She just drew me a beautiful house. She drew it with pencil. The one I've just sharpened. Open your eyes wide, Pearl. Beautiful blue. Oh. And you can see that Joker is threatening the girl. And Batman loses it. Jesus, no! When he hears the little 19-year-old girl scream, and he makes his way. But before that, the Joker warns him. You have half an hour. Bring a white stick. No. And then Batman screams, No! And the clown prince of crime, he laughs. He laughs in that diabolical cacophony that I am too gentle to mimic. Oh Jesus, that poor girl Batman, I'm going in there. And then he starts making his way, but then he asks Gordon, Jim, can we talk? But Jim says, You okay? You know you don't have to go in there. Let me organize a SWAT team or something. No, this is something I do have to do. And Jim, being an old friend, says, Listen, I can understand it if even you're afraid. I mean, Arkham has a reputation. Afraid. Batman is not afraid of anything. It's me. I am afraid. I'm afraid that the Joker may be right about me. And you can see that this version of Batman is probably not so sure about him yet. He has a very ironical arrogance when he says Batman is not afraid of anything. But then he says, it is me. I am afraid. So, in the usual versions, if you see Batman, he believes that Bruce Wayne is a mask, while Batman is the reality. But here, when he says that Batman is not afraid of anything, it's me, I am afraid. He says that he is afraid that the Joker might be right about his mental health, about his lunacy. Because sometimes, he says, I question the rationality of my actions. And I'm afraid when I walk through those asylum gates, when I walk into Arkham and the doors close behind me, it'll be just like coming home. And we can see a different side of the caped crusader. He's afraid. He's doubtful. He's doubtful about his own sanity. Because it is said that often those who fight and hunt monsters tend to become a monster. Because when you look at the abyss looks back at you. And then we go back. We go back to that little boy whose name was Amadeus Arkham. We go back to his journal, we go back to his monologue. And you can see this huge house with periphery as green as paradise is welcoming this man who is supposedly Amadeus Arkham, only 19 years older. I returned to the family home on a cool spring morning in 1920, shortly after mother's funeral. She opened her own throat with a pearl handled razor. In the end, perhaps it was for me, for the best. I have to believe that, as the only child I am, to inherit the house and the acres of land upon which it stands. And you can see that Amadeus Arkham is making his way back to his home. The home looks much different. It has bloom. It has bloomed green. But he has visited after his mother's funeral. She ended her own life. We remember her from the very first pages. The frail old lady who was chewing on beetles. She ended her own life. She used a pearl handled razor and opened her own throat. Must have been a painful death. And Arkham tells us that he is the only child and he is going to inherit the house and the acres of land upon which this manor stands. And he says that alone in a gloom that smells of dust and childhood, I dedicate myself to the prevention of such suffering as my poor mother knew. And I begin to make my plans. Arkham, Amadeus Arkham has come after 19 years. And he says that in this gloom, there's a smell, there's an odor that reminds him of dust and childhood. And that is so true, guys. That is so true. I'm pretty sure all of you have at least once in your lifetime felt nostalgic, not because someone told you a story from your childhood, but the way the sun was looking, the way the wind was blowing, or the way the flowers smelled, or the way the music was played. And just like that, Arkham was brought back to his childhood, and he also told us that now he wanted to dedicate his life to a mission that would prevent the kind of suffering his mother had undergone. It seems Little Amadeus Arkham has become a doctor, but he also mentions that he wanted to begin working on his plans. And he goes in this gloomy, dusty room. And under the moonlight, Arkham says that for the first time in 12 years, he spent the night in his old room. So he has been away from his home for the past 12 years. And after coming under this weirdly bright and blue moonlit night, he does not sleep well. His dreams are haunted. Haunted by what? Haunted by beating wings, उड़ने की आवाज और उड़ते हुए पर. And you can see that he is lying down under this pale blue moonlight. His eyes are open and he is frail as his mother looked in that one panel. He is definitely old. And then he says that outside, far off, a dog barks on and on through the whole restless night. And you can see there's a picture of clockwork, which represents how everything is related, everything is connected, and the story is moving like a clock. So, in his first night, in his old home, Amadeus could not sleep, and he could only hear a barking dog on and on for the whole night. Next day, I returned to Metropolis, where my family and I have been living for some time. So it is implied that Amadeus Arkham has been living in Metropolis for some time now. And I'll just come back to the meat and I'll ask you guys, do you guys know who resides in Metropolis? Can I just get one answer in the chat box? Just one. Metropolis is the home to.
Superman.
Absolutely. So, for those who don't know the lore, just like Batman belongs to Gotham, Superman is from Metropolis. Okay, the Daily Planet and all those things. If you guys have seen Man of Steel, that infamous battle that happens between Zod and Kal-El, that happens in Metropolis. Thank you, Adarsh. So it is implied that Amadeus Arkham has been living his adult life in Metropolis, and who would not? Who would not? A city which is much lively than the lead-lined skylines, the smelly gutters of this diseased city. Next to Gotham, anything would look beautiful. And Amadeus mentions he goes back to Metropolis where he has been living with his family for some time now. He is working at the state psychiatric hospital, and one of his patients had been referred to the Metropolis pensionary. And that patient's name is Martin Hawkins. He is also known as Mad Dog Hawkins. So it is implied that Arkham goes back to Metropolis where he is working as a psychiatrist, right? And one of his patients have been referred to the penitentiary, okay, which is like a place for the criminally insane, like really insane, okay? And his name apparently is Martin Hawkins, also known as Mad Dog Hawkins. For those who are not into comic books, this character might seem really new, but if you are a comic book bug like me, you would know who Mad Dog Hawkins is. But it's okay. You don't have to know him. You don't have to know his history because this is a standalone story and everything is built from the scratch. So just know that Martin Hawkins, aka Mad Dog Hawkins, was a patient of Amadeus Arkham at Metropolis. And apparently, once he went back to Metropolis, once he went back to his workplace, he came across him and they had a conversation. Just as any other shrink or any other psychiatrist would have with their patient. And Arkham remembers. I listen as he tells me how he was beaten and sexually abused by his father. I ask him why he chose to destroy only the faces and sexual organs of his victims. And when asked, Mad Dog Hawkins says, it was the Virgin Mary's idea. She says it's the best way to stop the dirty sluts spreading their disease. And Arkham asks him why he cuts his arm with a razor. And Mad Dog responds, just to feel, just to feel something. And you can see what a diseased soul Mad Dog Hawkins is. He's sitting there, and the philosophy that runs through his mind is so grotesque, so primal, so objectifying that he is not a human being anymore. And in order to feel like a human, he cuts himself because pain and fear are two of the greatest catalysts for anyone to do anything. And indeed, pain and fear are two of the most human instincts. Or, to be very honest, two instincts which make anything which is living, living, if you know what I mean. So, in order to feel human, because his mind doesn't let him, he cuts his arm with a razor. And he says he does that just to feel something. And then you can look at the artwork and it pans away as if the artist himself is trying to go away from this grotesque man, from this weird, perverted, broken man. And Arkham says, after 2 hours, he's taken back to the penitentiary to await trial. How many more like him must be there? Men whose only real crime is mental illness, trapped in the penal system with no hope of treatment. My course is clear. And he reflects upon it. And guys, let's be honest. We, as real human beings, we come across many such stories, many such incidents. And fortune, I really hope that none of those incidents end up becoming an anecdote for any one of us present here. Okay. But many such cases occur on a daily basis in our society. When you read about them, I mean, recently you would have heard that this lady with her lover, they killed the husband, right? And chopped him off into 4 pieces, right? And when you think about it, and if you think about it, do you think this is a human behavior? Do you think this is a normal behavior? Anybody with their right mind would they chop someone in half? Even like let go of quarter, half. Why would someone chop anyone? Why would someone kill anyone? to have a life with someone, in order to do that, you don't need to kill someone, right? Do you think it could be done with the right mind? And when you start asking such questions from the real life incidents you come across, you might theorize that maybe, just maybe, such people are not mentally sane. Maybe they're ill. I'm pretty sure I'll just give one more small example. I'm pretty sure you would have come across people who are addicted to some sort of substance, be it nicotine, be it alcohol, and God forbid something else. You might think, okay, buri adat hai. It's a bad habit. But now the scientific community agrees that addiction is a mental illness, right? So the person you were trying to make, the person you knew probably who smokes, and you want them to quit, but they are not able to. It is not because they don't want to, it is because they are ill. And just like any other illness, mental illness needs medicine. Mental illness needs treatment, and that is what Amadeus Arkham decided to do. He says that men whose only real crime is mental illness, trapped in the penal system with no hope of treatment, my course is clear. At that very time, when he talked to Mad Dog Hawkins, he knew what he wanted to do. He knew that he wanted to treat people with severe mental illnesses. And he says, I tell my dear Constance and little Harriet that we will shortly be returning to my family home in Gotham City. There, to begin its conversion into a facility for the treatment of the mentally ill. And he decides that he'll go back to his familial home, that huge home which made him feel like a little ghost, that very home where he thought that he had seen a creature with red eyes, the very home where he felt that his mother is reborn in another world made of monsters, magic, and symbol. Now that Amadeus has grown up, that very home is going to be an asylum for those who need treatment, for those who need help. And the decision was made. And on that decisive night, he dreamed. And in his dream, he was a child again. And he says that lost in a fun house, I find myself in the hall of mirrors. There are strangers in the mirrors, and I freeze, not daring to go any further. And you can see here, guys, red eyes. And what is that? Is that a pair of teeth? These strangers must be terrifying for this little boy. And although it was a dream, I'm absolutely sure that this would have some dire consequences. So again, Amadeus found himself in his dream as a little boy in a fun house in the Hall of Mirrors. And he said that there are strangers in the mirrors, and I freeze, not daring to go any further, not through that door. And then he feels that his father comes looking for him. The father who died long back when he was a little boy, but he meets him again in his dream. And he begs him, he says, I beg him not to take me into the tunnel of love. We return by the way we entered. That night, I dream that the mirror people have escaped from the glass and came looking for me. And then he wakes up. He wakes up, sweating, an adult. And for a moment, he says, just a moment, I feel as though I'm back where I belong, back in the old house. And see, that is the thing. That is what childhood trauma does to you, right? He became a doctor, had a really happy family, was living in Metropolis, must have seen Superman at least 9 times in his whole career at Metropolis. Feels pretty wholesome, right? But he had seen his father die. He had to take care of his insane mother in that huge manor, in that huge house which he was planning to turn into an asylum. But I'm pretty sure to see that your father is no more when you're a little boy, and to see that your mother has gone insane and is eating bugs, and then coming back 12 years later only to see that she killed herself. That is going to have a toll on you. And despite his great career at a great city, once he woke up from the dream, he felt that he was back to a place where he belonged, back in the old house. So we can stop here for tonight, okay? And we will be starting from page number 26. Now, um, so guys, that is the story. I mean, that is the beginning of the story, right? We can see that there are two parallel tales taking place. One talks about the life and times of this man known as Amadeus Arkham, who's introduced in this tale, right? And by the name, you can probably guess that the asylum was named after him, right? But we see what motivates him to start it. And he has had his fair share of childhood trauma. And this book is a great example of, you know, okay, others were saying a perspective of Batman's story that I never thought an American comic. Oh, definitely, definitely. The graphic novels, they are amazing. I mean, Arkham Asylum is one of the best stories out there, and it is a great Batman story. I think it is from the Elseworld version, which is basically it's a non-canonical story. So yeah, that is why it is standalone, and you can just you can just go ahead and read this one without any further reading. I'm sorry, without any prior reading. So that is the thing. So yeah, I mean, uh, it talks about uh, issues and topics which are usually dabbled by adults rather than kids, right? So yeah, that is there. So friends, you can turn your mics on, and we can, or you can use the chat box, and we can definitely have a nice discussion over there. Hello, Shankar. Thank you for joining. Sunay is saying Absolute Batman. I'm glad, Sunay, that you mentioned Absolute Batman. I hope you are reading the Absolute storylines. I started with Absolute Batman, definitely moved on to Absolute Superman, tried reading Absolute Wonder Woman, and it turned out to be probably the best. Honestly speaking, well, Absolute Batman looks good, but I feel amongst the three titles, Absolute Wonder Woman is killing it, like literally. And that is the thing. Absolute Batman, guys, for those who don't know, Absolute Batman and Absolute Superman and Absolute Wonder Woman, these three issues take place in a different universe where their origins are different, okay? So that is the thing. Not only the origins, but the total environment is different.
Maybe there was an animated movie regarding this where, um, I mean, just the different origin part was
Hmm.
same in that movie.
Right.
Like I think all of them were captured and were in a dream world where everyone has a different background and we're living normal lives and aliens attack something like that. It was all
Okay.
in a dream.
Okay. That sounds nice. That sounds nice. Oh, are you talking about the show that was telecasted on Cartoon Network, Justice League?
Yeah, I think it was a movie of Justice League. I downloaded it, I think 2 years back, maybe.
Okay. Sweet, sweet. I think in the group somebody had asked for the book, and Sunay has shared it. Thank you, bro. And yeah, so talking about childhood trauma, I would like to ask you guys a question which I would be expecting an honest answer of. Uh, okay, who's Nimbus, by the way? I'm really sorry. They have been really kind. Who is Nimbus? I mean, their WhatsApp name is Nimbus. Okay. I think Nimbus has left, but they have been really kind. Nevertheless, so guys, my question is about childhood trauma. Okay. Because this story talks about childhood trauma in a very great detail, and this is just the beginning, right? So, again, I'm just looking for some answers from your side. Okay. What you feel, what you think. As I mentioned, that oftentimes, more often than not, actually, people who had undergone something which is really traumatizing when they were kids, right? They tend to never escape the after effects of that scenario, the after effects of that event. Um, why do you think that happens? What would you think is the mechanism of such trauma? That you are not able to lead a normal life, you are not able to function properly because you had faced something really brutal as a child. What do you think happens? Like, if you guys want to give a generic answer, you can do that. If you guys want to give an example, you are free to do that. Okay, so I would request all of you, those who can turn their mics on, do that. Those who are more convenient using the chat box, please do that. And the question is, what do you think uh, turns the key of childhood trauma in such a way that it doesn't let you live a normal life when you're grown up? Maybe we can start with Shankar. Yes, please go ahead, Shankar.
Oh, no. I don't want to talk about childhood.
You can use the chat box as well.
Between chat box or talking, I would rather talk. But you really want me to start over again?
Uh, I mean, yeah, no, please. You can definitely tell us what you feel about it. Do do
Yeah.
keep the mic close to you.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a problem because I don't know. Like at this point of time, it's most likely numb to me. Like I don't really care. So yeah. So what was your question again? I want to be more specific towards my answer. That's why I'm asking it again.
So basically, like, why do you think childhood trauma affects a person even when they have grown up? It doesn't let them, work properly, function properly. Why do you think that is the case?
Okay, so this is not an uncomfortable question for me. Yeah. So
Mhm.
why do you think childhood trauma affects even after grown up? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because our brain just doesn't forget things, bro. It's like
No, I mean,
I
yeah,
don't
that is
know.
there. That is
See,
there.
if I live, let's say, without any emotion, any love, any anger, any happiness. Let's say robots don't have childhood trauma, right? Like even if you Even if we hit your television 10 times because it's not displaying things properly, it's going to work again. It's
Right.
going to do its job because it doesn't have any emotions. I think we do have emotions, right? We are emotionally
Mhm.
bound to people. So let's say you betray me today and you cheated on me with some girl or something. I'm going to hate it forever, right? Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, that is okay. Not at all uncomfortable. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
See, it's like if somebody you trust so much, if they mostly why this childhood trauma happens, either it's due to your parents or friends or maybe siblings. Yeah, siblings is very rare, but possible. Yeah, because these
Mm.
are the people whom we are attached to so much as a child. When a child is born, actually, it
Hello. Is it just me or his voice went off?
No, no, no. Wait for him.
Okay, 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 okay. So we'll wait for you, Shankar, to join back in case you can hear us. Meanwhile, Sunay is saying much needed after 24. Absolutely. I'm all for the Snyderverse and whatever else they have done to it, preposterous.
Oh, sorry, sorry. I think I got disconnected, right?
Yes, you did. You did, Shankar.
Yeah,
Please
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. So what
Yeah.
I was saying like, okay, analyze it, face it, realize it's not your fault, and try to move on. Yeah, I've been trying it for quite some time. It's not working for me.
Hmm.
Shit. Again, my internet. Okay, it's fine now. Yeah. So definitely nobody wants to analyze it. Let's say like when you are born, let's say a child is born, it for few days or so it thinks the entire universe is just it. Like it doesn't differentiate its physical boundaries. It just thinks everything is just the kid itself. Yeah.
Right.
So it thinks that its mother is a part of the child himself. Yeah. So
Mhm.
when suddenly not suddenly, eventually it realizes that my mother is a different physical, she has her own physical boundaries. This is me,
Right.
I am different. So it goes through some kind of depression at that time. The child will try to stay close to their mother as much as possible. These things are, you can notice it, for newborn babies and everything. So
Mhm.
by birth we do have some emotions, and we don't want things to get separated away from us. So let's say I'm very good friend with a guy who is like, since when I was a kid, suddenly one day he slaps you and walks away and never talks to you back. I think if
Mhm.
something like that would have happened to any one of you, I think you people will remember it till date, right? Like, I mean, you would have moved on, but now if you remember, even it feels like, yeah, I did some mistake, or he did something wrong. That guy is a bad man, whatever it is. So personally, in my life, my dad was a very very nice person. Like, he made me what I am today, and I'm so grateful for that and everything. He made me such a talented person. Like, he taught me chess when I was at the age of less than 3 or whatever it is. Yeah. So he's such a wonderful person. On And he taught me like even integral calculus when I was like 6th standard or something. So I don't know, like, what I'm today is because of him. There is no doubt about that. On the other hand, if you ask me, I hate him so much because he used to beat me a lot. He have left some physical scars on me. Yeah. So there is two sides for him. So when he when you are 3, he teaches you chess. He plays with you. He enjoys you grow up. He takes you to beach. He gets you whatever you want. He goes with you for running every day in the morning. He makes you physically strong, mentally strong, and like, but this attachment, it makes people emotionally weak. So I'm bound to my father so much. One day I scored 40 marks, he just slapped on my face, that's it. And he didn't leave there. Like, he did a lot worse things. Yeah. So which I won't accept, and I wish that doesn't happen to any child in their life. But it's like when you get betrayed like this, you can't really, I mean, you can't really move on from that. I have to face him tomorrow even though I don't like him, right? So it's very hard. I think this is just the reason. It's just the emotional boundaries we have and the attachments we have. Like that's why we won't be that's why it affects our day-to-day life. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Shankar. That was indeed a really elaborate answer, yet elaborate yet to the point, because Shankar talks about some sort of betrayal, right? Because trauma often comes from the fact that what you thought was your safe space, or potential safe space, and then again, I'm just saying often, okay, not all the time. I mean, trauma can come from a place which you know is not safe as well. I mean, PTSD is a big example, right? But often children who think that, they are in their safe space are betrayed in one way or the other, intentionally or unintentionally, in such a way that eventually they are not able to uh, re- revoke or, remove that sort of feeling, that sort of betrayal from their mind. That is what Shankar tries to imply, that, betrayal plays a very huge role in a child's trauma, because what they were assuming to be their safe space or their personal bubble suddenly gets popped, and they are uh, made to stand against something which is very harsh often, which is very brutal, and which doesn't fight fair. And what is it? Well, it is reality. Moving on. Shri Vidya, would you like to shed some light on it? The, if that is good. I think Shri Vidya has left, I feel. Okay. But someone wants to join, and I think it's.
Yeah, I've asked him or her to join with student ID.
Yeah. So, Ubermensch. Oh my god. Nietzsche's disciple. Ubermensch, would you like to tell your name, and would you like to join using your IITM ID? That would be really nice. Because for security reason, we don't uh, let people join using their personal ID. So I'm really sorry. Yeah, please join using your IITM ID. Sri Vidya is here. Sri Vidya, would you like to shed some light on it? What are your views on the very point? Oh, I'm really sorry. Sri Vidya has left, right? I'm really sorry. Who else? Adarsh, would you like to go ahead and
No,
add
no, I
something
will
to it?
pass for this time. I will take my pass this time.
No, why don't you tell us an example? Give some example. You always have great examples.
Wait. Because of this discussions, I forgot the original question.
But meanwhile, before that, I would also like to mention that Sunay has said that try to communicate and invest energy in creative. Right. So Sunay was talking about starting the discussion. Shujal says that maybe they don't want to feel it newly again, so they don't forget it. Would you like to elaborate on that, Shujal?
Uh, yeah, I was just saying that uh, if the traumatic situation occurs again, then they don't want to go through that experience uh, newly. So they just don't forget it and keep that in mind forever. I guess
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
my point.
actually, yeah, I agree on that. That's actually 100% true. After so many things happen to me, I don't trust people. Satik, I'm sorry to say it.
Hmm.
Honestly, I don't even trust you.
Right,
Like,
right, right.
like tomorrow, if you come and say that we are not going to be friends anymore, I'm completely fine with it. Like, uh,
Mm-hmm.
on a serious note, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because it's no longer going to be affecting me, because I remember what happened in my childhood. I don't get emotionally attached to anyone, and I don't really care what the other guy thinks about me. This is the way I'm going to live, right? So it's my safe space. Like, if I'm not, as long as I'm not getting emotional attachments to people, I'm not going to suffer anything, right? So
Right, right.
yeah.
So, do you think that is like a safety measure?
Yeah, maybe. I think most likely yes. And I try to avoid people as much as possible in person.
Right,
Online, it's
right.
fine. Like, I don't want to meet people. That's the thought, right? Like, most often. Yeah, but in person, I try to avoid people as much as possible. I don't like to be around many people. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
Hi everyone.
Hello. Okay, so how should we take your name? It's SAL. Like, how should we take? How do we pronounce your name?
You can call me Sam.
Okay, okay, okay. And where are you from, Sam?
I'm from Hyderabad.
Okay, 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 okay. That's indeed an interesting name. That is indeed an interesting name. Could
Yeah,
you tell us?
yeah.
Could you
Thank you.
tell us about yourself a little?
About myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. I don't know. um, okay. About
A brief
myself. Uh,
introduction would be fine.
yeah, I'm just a guy, normal.
Okay,
I'm
so you're at the foundation
21.
level, or
No, I'm in diploma level.
okay, okay, okay. And which subjects
I,
do you have this time?
yeah, I have business analytics and
Right,
machine learning practice.
right.
Yeah, and
Oh,
um, uh, app dev too.
app dev too. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I actually, yeah, I wanted to talk because I was hearing the person who was talking before. He was talking about being secure and not experiencing you know, the emotional attachment and the things that come with it, the suffering, the negative aspects of it. But I wanted to ask, isn't he curious about not exploring that part of life? And
Not really.
another question to you is that is there a way to still be protective while exploring that part of the emotional attachment, but in a secure way? Is there a way like that, a middle ground kind of? Yeah.
I think if I would have known that, I would have been doing better in life. Unfortunately, I don't know that. So uh, that's why.
Okay.
Um,
The others,
you
yeah.
know, just something I want to say. San's voice, it it reminds me of you know the announcement or the radio
Hi,
show
others.
person. Oh, hello. Uh, in during spaceship launch and
Ah, okay, okay, okay. Interesting,
the
interesting.
person who communicates with the क्या बोलते हैं
The
वर्ड
ground
Uh,
control, the ground team, right?
या
yeah,
Right,
is
right.
it kind of robotic? Like
no
uh,
not yeah
It has that,
robotic
it has this
robotic
delicious static to it.
yes
There's a
yes yes
delicious static to his voice. It seems like he's talking to us from the future or from the past.
past
Yeah, yeah,
definitely past like with a low bit rate audio
yeah, 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 yeah. And
it's
so, uh, Sunay, okay, so Shrujal says maybe they don't want to. So Shrujal elaborated on that, and Shankar sort of agrees with what Shrujal said. Sunay says that one should analyze it, face it, realize that the trauma is not their fault, and try to move on. And that he is also guessing because I'm pretty sure Sunay
Ah,
also
that's difficult,
acknowledges.
bro. That's really difficult. It's not going to work. I think
Yeah,
it at least it didn't work for me.
yeah, it is definitely going to be difficult. It is a difficult task to pull off. Adarsh is saying who's disciple? Um, ये मैं समझा नहीं disciple ये कहाँ से आया? Okay,
वो
Srividya has something to say. Srividya, please go ahead.
I'm so sorry I got off in between. I didn't really listen to the story. There was no part, so I couldn't stay. Can
Oh,
someone just like quickly give me a gist of what happened till now? Like
okay,
a short
so
one would fine.
right. So okay, so you have not heard the story as of yet.
At all, yeah. The
Oh,
moment you started reading, there was no power, and then I had to leave.
okay. So basically, the story begins with a little boy. His name is Amadeus Arkham. Okay,
Okay.
and well, his father has died, and we get to see that he's tending to his mother, who is definitely insane or is going insane, right? And he catches her eating bugs, eating beetles, and now that his father is dead and he's only living with his mother, the whole house they live in a manor, and this manor seems huge, and he feels that there is an entity which is prowling through the dark corners of this house now that his father is gone, and he has seen it once or twice, and this entity has red eyes. And then we move back to the present, where it is implied that Arkham Asylum, the infamous asylum at the outskirts of Gotham City, where all the criminally insane people are kept for treatment and imprisonment, treatment come imprisonment. Well, there has been a coup over there, and the inmates have seized the power. They have overpowered the guards and everyone. And this thing is being led by none other than Joker. And he tells the commissioner that they want to speak to Batman. And in order for Batman to be desperate enough to make a run towards the asylum, he probably harms a 19-year-old girl. And then the story again comes back to past, where Amadeus Arkham is grown up now. 12 years has passed, and he's a doctor. He has a family, his wife Constance, and their daughter Harrier. And he comes back to his childhood home, only to find out that his mother has ended her life using a blade. She has opened her throat. And he realizes the consequences of mental health problem. And now that his education has been in the field of psychiatry, sorry, I mean, he is a psychiatrist and his education has been in the field of psychiatry. He actually works at a place called Metropolis. And if you are a comic book bug, if you are aware of the pop culture, you would know who is the hero of Metropolis, right? So he works at Metropolis, and he works with the criminally insane people, and he comes across a man who kills women, and he feels that Virgin Mary makes him do so. And in order to feel human, that man sort of cuts himself on his arms using a razor blade. And at that very moment, he decides, Amadeus Arkham decides, that he is going to become a person who treats the criminals with mental illness. And he will turn his house into a institution which is going to provide shelter to such quote unquote needy people. And he comes back home, tells this thing to his wife and his daughter, and he's very happy about it. But at that night, when he's sleeping, he sees a nightmare. He sees a nightmare where he is in a fun house, and in a so there's this room full of mirrors, and he's as a little kid, he's roaming around there in his dreams, and he sees that his father has visited him in the dreams. Okay. And at that very moment, he realizes that he's always talking about people with mental illness and, trying to help people with mental illness and childhood trauma. But at that very moment, he realizes that he himself is not safe from the same ailment. And that is where today's session stops. We have read till page number 25, and in the next
Oh,
session,
I
we'll
thought
start
you're
from there.
narrating the entire story. Then it's very
Yeah,
interesting. It's
yeah,
really interesting. Okay, I now want to understand what is this childhood trauma. I think no, I think people are trying to connect with the protagonist's past, that is seeing his mother eating bugs and father dying, and him being with his mother. Is that how they're connecting with the childhood trauma of the child of the protagonist?
So basically, like I asked everyone, including you, I actually didn't realize that you were not there in the meet. So the question was that, why does childhood trauma not let an adult work, an adult work, in a normal, in a functional manner? Why is there always some sort of a, wound or scar that hurts and doesn't let them function properly?
I think I can answer this actually. I've
Please go
recently
ahead. Please go ahead.
spoken about it. So I feel that when you're through some childhood trauma or when there is a little bad past with you, one thing is we have seen it as a child. So as children, our grasping power is very very sharp. Uh, it's very very quick actually. Children, they learn very quickly. You teach them something, they learn it very quickly. Or you try to make them do something, they do it very quickly. So in such an age, in such a very tender molding age, if you see something terrible or little something that's hurting you, there is this sense of uh, sometimes it becomes fear that will set back into you, that saying, okay, if this will happen, this will surely happen. Let's say you've grown up in a house where people have been scolding you or taunting you, so you become this person with little nature of over explaining things or not doing things. It is because you know that if you don't do it in that extent, you'll be scolded again. So from an age, maybe you're just seasoned like that, saying, okay, this is the perfect way, this is the right way, this is the only way. I think that is where first the pressure starts with children. And after that, when you're tuned to be like this, you generally do not are not so comfortable as an adult to come out of that cycle. I mean, there are people, and I really really am happy to meet a few people like that, and I really respect them a lot in my life. But as adults, as we grow, since we are molded like this from a early age, I think it becomes very difficult for them to come out of it. But once you come out, I think you can win anything, because you have whatever, like, let's say, it's like breaking some cycle. Like, you have broken it now and you don't have to get back into it anymore. Like, I hope you're like getting, I hope I'm not speaking something not
No, no,
relevant.
no. Absolutely not. Please go ahead.
So when you break that cycle, when you have understood that this is not right, but I've been told that this is right, I think you then understand the notion of right and wrong. And then people tell, right, that adults are people who can differentiate between what is right and wrong. I think when we can actually get out of that cycle of thinking what is societally right and societally wrong, and then see it from what we want to actually see it, I think that is when we enter adulthood. And coming back to Satiki Bhaiya's question about childhood trauma, I think, because yeah, like I said earlier, I think we're tuned that way, that this is right, this is perfect, this is the only way that you get to that ideal unexisting perfection stage, and that is where you will actually be a proper human being. I think that affects us a lot as adults, because we always strive to be there. We do not actually think of maybe settling for what we are trying to do. We never see what we have done till then to reach there, or we don't see any of it. We only try to see what we have to reach, but we forget to appreciate what we have done till then to reach there. And we also forget, and we also don't realize in many of cases that that ideal sense of perfection, or that destination that people think that we should reach, I don't think we should match that. And once we have realized we don't have to do that, we will not even bother about anything else. I think that is my takeaway on this childhood trauma stuff.
That was indeed elaborate. That was indeed elaborate, and at no point did she lose the flow. So thank you, Srividya. That was really articulate.
Thank you.
Moving on, I can see in the chat box. So we can see that uh, Shrujal and Shankar tackle it in sort of similar way. San here has uh, questioned some of the ethos of Shrujal and Shankar's philosophy, while Srividya elaborates on the very problem in her very own way. So that was indeed novel. Three different perspectives, definitely right. All of them have their own pros and their own cons. So we are here to listen and learn, of course, not to judge. And Adarsh is saying he is here from the Anime Societies group. Okay, San, I hope we can see you on a regular basis. Meanwhile, given that I have said that we hope see San on a regular basis, you guys can probably see a link that has been pinned in the chat box. This was shared by our dear Octi here, and now I have shared it again and pinned it. You can find the registration form of Sahitika. Yeah, Srividya, please go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No problem.
uh, so I'm just reading what Anshu has mentioned in the chat.
Mhm.
I think this last point is also right. We tend to fight, and it also triggers things with us when, like I gave a small example, when we grow up in a very like in a house where we're scolded and taunted for nothing. We
Right.
tend to become, and when we don't do that things that made those people satisfied, we think even the outside world functions that way, and we get into this fight mode again. Yeah, we have that adrenaline to just, you know, do it that way that we have been taught to, like always. But somehow we don't realize that it is not actually the right way to not be that way. Like there are many people that I have seen
Mm-hmm.
who do not, who cannot say no, because a lot of times they have because in their houses and all, they have just like, you know, they don't give that option to say no. They'll be like, "Ah, just do it." So they come out to the society and they think people cannot accept a no, but that is not the case. So we become, I think that is how people think survival happens, and that is how people think this is how the world works. But I think that is how I think for generations. I mean, I haven't seen life so much, but I think for generations and generations, we have only been taught that, at least for me, I've been taught that our house, the way our house functions is the way that the world functions. So I think we need to get out of that notion that, you know, world is a different thing, your home is a different thing. What happens in your home doesn't actually happen in the outside world. See, you're taught many things from childhood to maybe make you a strong person, emotionally and physically independent person and all. But once you get out, I think we should learn some things from the world as well, especially when we get into colleges and maybe our UGs, when we get into our intermediates, 11th, 12th, when we realize that we are out into the world and we have reached this uh, a little age that we should understand things. I think we should get out of that notion of home and maybe understand what actual things are. And I think we don't have to sit in that cycle of ideal, uh, sorry, that
Uh-huh.
ideal sense of what do you call that? Whatever has been taught, I think we can keep that aside and maybe have a room for learning things as well.
Okay, indeed. That is an interesting take on it. That is indeed an interesting take where Srividya urges one to become a little bit cosmopolitan, either by your work or your mentality. Shankar talks about something that reminds him of Smile. I'm pretty sure no one here knows Smile. So this
Yeah,
is
that's why they are
really,
not able to relate.
yeah,
But
this is a
it's
really
fine.
funny, this is a really funny statement.
Even
We can
Smile left,
definitely,
bro. We are still staying.
yeah.
Uh,
uh, so Anshu had made this statement, and uh, like to which Srividya was reciprocating, where Anshu says that childhood trauma can be a daunting experience. It doesn't have to be associated with a person. It can also stem from an unpleasant memory, which is absolutely true, spot on. The brain is an organ that is constantly evolving, and he has given an example of neuroplasticity. Incidents and events shape us, leaving a lasting impression, and the brain remembers them. It triggers the fight or flight response, evolves from it, and develops a survival instinct. That is indeed a great point. That is, that is under the same umbrella of what Shrujal and Shankar said. Although they didn't use the technical term, but it is definitely a form of survival instinct, because survival is not always necessarily related to death. Sometimes it is related to pain as well. San is saying, I feel tickled. Okay, that is. I don't know why, but okay. I hope you're happy, brother. Ash is saying don't have any trauma. Okay, Ash, I really hope. I think Ash has left, but I really hope, Ash, that you never face any sort of thing that induces any kind of trauma in your life. And Anshu is saying, and yeah, this also affects the way we think, how we feel about oneself and others, and extending that particular statement, I think the way we feel about ourselves, the way we think we function, we tend to treat others in the same way. So, of course, that is a good point. Ash has left, saying good night. San has said thank you to Adarsh. Sunay, Sunay has given a little bit of air to this burning theory that Paul McCartney is actually alive. I mean, Paul McCartney is dead, but there are dummies moving around who look like him. Anshu talks about muscle memory. Sunay says smile too. Definitely not that smile. We can definitely talk about smile someday. It is a really, really deep lore, as deep as Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or anything written by Tolkien. Having said that, it was a great start to this book. I'm glad you guys decided to stick back and enjoy the session. So, this is how the session works for those who are new here. We read, we talk, we discuss, okay? And that is what we have been doing for the last 4 years. Having said that, we will be now wrapping up, okay? And you can see that again, I'm mentioning, I have pinned the link for those who are not a part of Sahityaka. It is not necessary for you to join the society in order to join these sessions. We are we always welcome anyone who is from this degree. But still, I mean, in order to become the part of the bigger family, to meet with everyone in that very environment, if you're interested in that, please follow this link. I have pinned it. Fill up the registration form. If I'm active enough, if I'm not a sloth, I will add all of the newly registered members to the uh, official G space, and over there you will find the link to our WhatsApp community. Having said that, guys, the story is just building up. Batman is about to get inside the madhouse, and he has this dilemma that he probably is not sane himself. And at that very time, parallelly, we are shown that Amadeus Arkham, as a little boy, realized the same. So, how is this story going to unfold? We are yet to see, because the lives of a man who lived in the early 20th century is going to be entangled with a man who lives in the 21st century, dresses up like a bat, and prowls the lead lined skyline of Gotham City. Having said that, thank you very much, everyone, for staying back, and stay safe and be brave. And that is what I would like to say before wrapping up. I'll be stopping the recording now. Good night, everyone.